Yo, Win Column family, thanks for joining me again here in the Black Abyss. I am back with more energy, man. I gotta be honest with you guys. I'm only human. My last video, Tyler Irvin, for the faithful, that just could have been better. For the people that are new to the video, hopefully you watch some other things and things of that nature and got a better vibe from that. That video, I was just in a bad mood because I want to have more fun doing this stuff for you guys. And I almost felt like I had to do Tyler Irvin because of the injuries and the COVID related stuff that kind of just put him as the guy who was going to get the ball. But I didn't see anything that made me really excited to do the video. The Packers' usage of him was nothing like what we knew it would be on Thursday night, because we knew he would be used more like a running back, but his usage up to that point was like a move player. It just wasn't a lot of fun. A lot of the plays were inefficient. A lot of people in the comment are saying that they don't understand that. If a majority of a player's plays are negative plays, drops or incompleted passes, that's inefficient. It's just that simple. I'm not making this up, right? So what happened Thursday is the guy is used a completely different way than the Packers had been using him. And I just put that up front because I just want to have more fun, right? And I want to get back to just feeling like I'm breaking things down for the right reasons and not just chasing situations, right? So with that being said, with that little bit of an intro being said, a lot of people said, you know what, can you show us the differences between Jordan Wilkins and Jonathan Taylor? What's going on with that situation? Well, Frank Wright said that Jonathan Taylor, I keep wanting to say Jordan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor is going through a little bit of an ankle issue, and that could be the case. So I'm revisiting Jonathan Taylor in this sense because I did a video on him where I said, look, I don't think that there's anything wrong with him as a player too much, because he has a lot of ability. He has yet to show 4.4 speed on tape, so he may have just really, he's just a guy who ran really well at the combine so far is what he looks like. But I think he has all the other tools, right? But I think the problem is he's just a rookie and he's running indecisively. People have said that in the comments. And I think that in week 8, that was showing up a lot more than I saw it in all the other tape that I watched. So that's what I want to do, is show the difference between how Jordan Wilkins has been more of a north-south guy who's getting himself up the field. And I think that the Colts were just really appreciating that in this game, and they treated him as if he was the hot hand, because at the end of the day he was. But I'm going to show you guys also some things that, will give you hope, I think, if you have Taylor, just to say that Jordan Wilkins is not a world beater when it's all said and done, though. Okay, I guess that's what I want to say. But let's start out on something that I talked about immediately when I did the video on Jonathan Taylor, and that's the fact that when the Colts really want to run the ball, NFL teams see it on tape, and nobody is really fooled. Okay, when the receivers are really tight to the line like this, and the running back is this far in the backfield, okay, teams seem to clearly understand that this means it's a running play, and you're seeing 8 men to 9 men in the box in situations like this. Now, Jonathan Taylor was seeing a lot of this leading up to week 6 when I did that video, right? They were actually on their bye week, I should say. So coming into week 8, this is what I saw mostly on tape for Jonathan Taylor runs. I think the Colts are beginning to open up what they're doing, but let's go ahead and start this play so that you can see that against a stacked situation, it's not like Jordan Wilkins is about to do a whole lot of what Jonathan Taylor isn't. But I think the one thing that he does do is he gets the ball, presses the line, cuts up the field, and he just goes north-south. At the end of the day, I think that we're not talking about a guy who has quicker feet than Jonathan Taylor. We're not talking about a guy who in general is quicker than Jonathan Taylor, faster than Jonathan Taylor. I wouldn't even say that he's stronger than Jonathan Taylor, but he's in his second year opposed to his first year, and he's just running with a little bit more confidence and like a guy who understands where he needs to go, and just he's not a rookie. He's a vet, and I think that it's making a difference so far. And I think it's the reason that the Colts are giving him a shot. So that's just 3 yards. So like I said, it's not like he's a world beater. It's not like he's 10 yards down the field on a stacked box and Jonathan Taylor can only get you 3. They're both are seeing situations like that and getting no gain or 3 gain. But what I want to show you guys next, now that that's established, right, is the thing that kind of shocked me. And that's that the Colts are beginning to open up their passing game a little bit, right? We're seeing more 3-wide sets. We're seeing more 4-wide sets. As I showed you in the previous video, it's a lot of 2 tight ends, 3 tight ends. That formation is not showing up as much now. Okay, still you're going to get multiple tight ends on the field, but it's more spread out. And that's the situation that I was saying. Once Jonathan Taylor is able to take advantage of the Colts spreading teams out so he isn't seeing stacked box teams that feel like they know that the run is coming, he should do well, because then more holes will open up, and that's when he should be able to show his speed and explosiveness. What's shocking is that Jordan Wilkins is actually running way better with the Colts showing more spread options in their offense, and that's what I'm going to show you next. Okay, so in this play, 4-wide set, like I said, you have 4 receivers. I believe one of these guys is a tight end, but regardless, what we're seeing is a spread formation. This is exactly what I was saying. If we see this more for Jonathan Taylor, we should see more big-time Jonathan Taylor plays, which is what we want to see. But we actually see it for Jordan Wilkins, and I think that when it's all said and done, I'm going to end up showing you guys a lot of plays like this where Jordan Wilkins is just doing this a little bit better. There's nothing special about what you just saw, right? And we'll hop to the end zone angle, right? There's nothing special about it. That is a tight end. He comes across the formation, right? But this is just a guy that's he just knows where to go in the offense. I think sometimes that can be almost hard to recognize on tape, because the first thing you say to yourself is, well, he doesn't look slow. He doesn't look fast. He doesn't look extremely explosive. But when a guy is just knowing where to go with the ball, doing it with confidence, it can still be effective. At the running back position, like I said, if you want to be the elite guy, your vision, your quickness, your strength, your speed, all of that stuff comes into play. But there's plenty of running backs who get it done in the league who aren't elite. It's totally different from receiver, where if you don't have elite athletic traits or something special about you, you're probably not going to succeed. Jordan Wilkins is a guy at this point who is benefiting from just taking the ball, getting upfield, going north and south, reading his blocks really well, and it's working out. That's 16 yards. We're not seeing Jonathan Taylor do the same. Now here in this formation, we're going to get 2 tight ends, okay, to the bottom of your screen. But then you get the wideouts here, right? So at the end of the day, this is a formation where the defense is spread out. They can't exactly stack the box. You just have 4 guys across. You have 2 here. Of course, you have Akuda kind of cheating inside, okay? But at the end of the day, as far as the box goes, you have 6 on 7, right? Let's take a look at the play. Now, this is not a special play. I'm famous for let's not use the word famous, but I'm always going to be a believer in showing you a 4-yard run, because it's just a decisive run. He just says, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and get up the field, and it makes for a positive run, where at the end of the day, if he's in the backfield kind of pity-patting, kind of trying to decide where he's going to go, you don't get that. And he just has this, I think, innate ability, Jordan Wilkins does, to just kind of make himself small when he needs to, always keep his feet moving. Like I said, make himself small, and he just kind of squeaks through holes that you would say aren't really there. And I think that's just something, like I said, the Colts are appreciating that right now. This is not me knocking Jonathan Taylor, and it's really not me exalting Jordan Wilkins. It's just that the tape is showing me that the Colts appreciate that the guy is just kind of getting north-south, because their offensive line is not just blowing people off the ball like many of us would have expected. And I think at this particular time, Coach Frank Wright is just saying, maybe this is what we need. Okay, here we go again. I'm kind of starting to play as it's going a little bit, but you got two tight ends, you got two receivers here. Again, spreading the defense out a little bit, so you only have these guys here in the box. He's included, just a bad circle, which I just always do, right? But at the end of the day, what we have is Jordan Wilkins just does a good job. He sticks his foot in the ground right here. He picks a hole. Once he chooses that hole, he just gets himself through it. It doesn't look special. Nothing that this kid does ever looks special. Nothing that he does ever looks extremely explosive. But what it is, 1 foot in the ground, I see my hole, I'm going through my hole. Is the offensive line blowing people away? No, they're not. It's just a guy saying, this is my hole, I'm picking it, I'm taking it, I'm gone. Now, here's one of my favorite runs of the day. The Colts getting back to their roots. 3 tight ends here to the bottom of your screen. Just 1 wide receiver in the game, okay? One of those situations where defenses, if you've been watching tape, you pretty much know what's coming. So they have 5 guys right here on the line of scrimmage, 2 guys here. They know what's coming. This is, I think, the one example of all the plays that I watched for week 8 with Jordan Wilkins where I can say, okay, he made that play, right? Let's take a look. Tight end coming in motion. Just beats 2 guys because he's being decisive and getting directly up the field. Not a whole lot of stuff going on. They want to kind of set up the fake counter, right? And he's just going straight up the field to the point that the penetration ends up being over pursuit. And that's what can happen when you're being extremely decisive. If Jordan Wilkins on this play isn't being decisive, if at this point he's pity-patting and trying to decide where he's going to go, this penetration that's coming here and here, it's going to get home. But because it's just foot in the ground and I'm going to go, he makes the defenders be wrong when in essence they could have or should have been right. Just a quick little sidestep and he's up the field. That's a nice run. I mean, it honestly is the one play that he made. I mean, he had a 24-yard catch, but that was just one where he just really wasn't defending and he's just kind of galloping down the field. That was the play that he made of all the plays that I saw. The 2-point conversion too, actually. Now, finally, I'm going to show you this run note. You know, one thing that I've been pointing out to you guys is these formations, right? Because it's important. And what we're going to get here is Jordan Wilkins on an outside run being extremely decisive and just getting up the field. And the reason that this is the last run I'm going to show you guys, one of these good runs to kind of set up the case of Jordan Wilkins versus Jonathan Taylor, is because when they try to get Jonathan Taylor outside, I don't think that he's been this decisive. And I think that's what's taken away from him having explosive plays, despite being by far the more explosive player between he and Jordan Wilkins, right? Just going to get outside, and as soon as the hole that he's looking for is there, he's up the field. And that's just something. This is not something, the indecisiveness is not something I felt like I saw big time when I was looking at Jonathan Taylor. I felt like I was just seeing a guy who just didn't have a lot of holes to run through, was seeing a lot of stacked boxes, and just the opportunity for him to get the big run wasn't there. I will say that I can see what the Colts see now, seeing some of what Jonathan or Jordan Wilkins has been doing. It's going to be tough to do this whole Jonathan Jordan thing. But again, I think that he's bringing a lot to the offense just by willing to put a foot in the ground and get upfield when it's most necessary. And at the end of the day, obviously that's valuable. Now, I'm going to show you guys 2 plays though before I show you some of Jonathan Taylor in week 8. And the reason that I'm sticking to week 8 is because it's the week in which Jordan Wilkins got enough carries to actually scare the Jonathan Taylor owner, okay? Before then, what you had is a situation where we have 4 total targets on the season for Jordan Wilkins, 3 catches. 1 catch was in this game. In comparison, Jonathan Taylor had 3 targets and 2 catches in this game alone, okay? So as far as disparity, right? You got a 35% average snaps for Wilkins, 48% average for Taylor, who saw his season low snaps in week 8, okay? 34% snaps was a season low. Jordan Wilkins, week 8 of 40% snaps wasn't even his highest. His highest was week 2 where he got 48%. So at the end of the day, I'm not sure if we're actually about to see a true timeshare or Jordan Wilkins take the job. I just think that for what the Colts are trying to do, I think that right now Jordan Wilkins is doing it better. I don't think that they're just going to give up on Jonathan Taylor, though. And I'm going to show you guys why I don't think that they will. Okay, so before I show you guys this play, I want to talk about my first fantasy headache at running back. It was Jamal Charles and Thomas Jones. I loved Jamal Charles coming out of Texas. And when he went to the Chiefs, I'm like most of us that still make this mistake to this day. We still do it to this day. We all sit from the outside and we say, a talent like Jamal Charles, all they have is Thomas Jones. Oh, the Chiefs are good. Jamal Charles is going to take that job. He's going to have a breakout fantasy year for me. But having Jamal Charles in his rookie year was extremely frustrating. His second year, partially as well, because there was this guy named Thomas Jones, a former first-round running back who was on the road to being a bust, but had really found his way with the Chiefs a little bit, right? And he was mostly a plotter and things of that nature. And Jordan Wilkins may be Thomas Jones, and Jamal Charles may be Jonathan Taylor when it's all said and done. And this run will explain what I mean, okay? Let's get into it. We're going to show this multiple times. We're probably going to stop it and slow it down multiple times. But this is the Thomas Jones run that when you're giving plays like this to a guy like Jordan Wilkins, you've probably lost some yards because if you gave the ball to Jamal Charles, it's a big gain, but you gave it to Thomas Jones. This is what I think keeps Jonathan Taylor involved once he becomes a little bit more decisive. Hopefully it happens this year and it helps somebody win their fantasy championship. But let's just watch this play. Like I said, I'm going to be stopping this a lot. I'm probably going to be talking over it a lot. Please bear with me. But you have a run that's designed to go to the outside. At this moment, okay, at this very moment, let's just say that this is Jordan Wilkins. This is how he's seeing the field. This is his vision cone, if you remember that from Madden. This block here is not really sealed, so this defender is having the ability to be able to come off this edge because that edge isn't sealed. And Jeffrey Okudah is kind of looking to make the decision to come down, okay, come downhill in this play. And what Jordan Wilkins decides to do, because he knows his limitations, and I think that's what the Chiefs appreciate about him. He goes north-south because he knows his limitations. But if Jonathan Taylor's 4.4 speed is real and this is his carry, he's going to the outside. I can almost guarantee you, because you may look at this and think something different, but you don't know what it's like to be an all-world athlete. You're going to know, whether it's right or not, that you can beat this guy to the edge. And then you're going to believe that as a running back, Jeff Okudah is not going to be able to stop you in the open field. And this is where you're going to take this ball. Y'all can argue with me in the comments all you want, but an all-world athlete believes that this is where you take the ball, period. What Jordan Wilkins does is not that. He's going to cut against the formation to get a good gain on what could have been a big gain. I know people are going to argue with me about this, but I also know that the mind of a world-class athlete does not work like you think it does. So Jordan Wilkins does not get a bad run here at all. You can't say, oh, that was a bad run. But you can say, and it's harder to see on this angle, but it's not going to stop me from showing it because it's still important. We're going to slow it down. Jordan Wilkins, in his mind, okay, he's thinking, because he was doing it all game, he's thinking, this guy could get me. And even if I do beat that guy, this guy could get me. Come in here. One of them can cut me off. So what he decides to do is he decides to cut the play back, which is totally fine, because when he does that, he gets a positive gain. He gets 4 yards. But I'm going to argue with anybody that wants to have the argument that the better athlete pops that outside, takes the play where it's intended to go, takes that, beats the linebacker off the edge, just beats the linebacker, period, and takes that corner one-on-one. Now, here's another Thomas Jones play. It's fine to disagree with me, but this is what this is. Jordan Wilkins gets this ball, and at this particular moment, like I said before, what Jordan Wilkins is thinking is all about right here. But I promise you that a world-class athlete, and I'm not trying to say that Jordan Wilkins isn't a world-class athlete. He is. He plays amongst them. But you're talking a difference. You're talking about the difference of draft pedigree is what I really mean by this, okay? Where Jordan Wilkins knows his limitations, so he doesn't do this. And I am not saying that that's a bad thing. That's what I mean by the Thomas Jones, Jamal Charles thing, is that in my developed mind, I've learned why coaches play Thomas Jones and don't play Jamal Charles, because at this particular time, Jonathan Taylor maybe doesn't do this either, because I think he does. But at the end of the day, Jamal Charles, Jonathan Taylor is looking for this too much, okay? And a coach is looking at the tape and seeing a lot of opportunities to just go north-south and to stop trying to bounce it. But this is a perfect time to bounce it, but it just so happens that the opportunity is given to the guy who the last thing on his mind is bouncing it. By the time Jordan Wilkins decides to try to get outside, which is there. You guys may want to argue with me about going outside on the last play, but I can't imagine anybody trying to get in the comments and argue with me about going outside on this play. You run into a brick wall, and now you're trying to go outside, but in the NFL, there's something called not for long. It's not there anymore, good buddy. So at the end of the day, these are the kind of plays that say to me, do not allow yourself to think that Jonathan Taylor is done in this offense, because there will come games where this is what the Colts want. They're looking for the big play, and Jonathan Taylor will deliver. I even think that Jordan Wilkins' play in Week 8 should be something to light a fire under Jonathan Taylor if he isn't actually really hurt, okay? So I am not at all – my position here is not that the tape is showing me that Jordan Wilkins is a scrub or anything like that. I'm just saying that I can see what it is that the Colts have liked about his running, and why they consider him to be the hot hand and why they used him to win this game. But I'm saying that I wouldn't suggest to anybody that that is going to be what we see going forward. I think Jonathan Taylor is going to keep getting opportunities, and if he plays better with them, he should do better, and he should help you in your fantasy league. I'm going to end this video showing you some of Jonathan Taylor in Week 8 so that we can just make that contrast, okay? Just a couple plays, and then we'll get out of here. Okay, so what I want to do is take a look at a couple of Jonathan Taylor plays, like I said. And on this particular play, we're going to get a toss, okay? We're going to get one of the wide receivers coming across the formation to block, and we're going to get a toss. And I think after watching so much of Jordan Wilkins in Week 8, again, it's just a little bit more clear to me what the Indianapolis coaches seem to want out of the running game and what they didn't get out of Jonathan Taylor. And in this particular play, I think ends up being an example, because I'm going to pause it at one point to show you something. Okay, you get the toss, and right here, it is now time to stick a foot in the ground and try to get upfield. I might have even stopped it a little bit early. Let's slow it down, okay? But it's now time, at this particular moment, it's time to get straight upfield. It's just time, okay? but we get a couple more steps to the outside, 3, 4, 5 steps to the outside before Jonathan Taylor tries to get upfield. And that's what's going to have to change. This is what just watching some of the Jordan Wilkins runs and trying to put myself in the mind of the coaching staff and seeing why he got so many carries in week 8. This is exactly why, at the end of the day, put your foot in the ground right there at some point. Please, Jonathan Taylor, put your foot in the ground somewhere right here and get upfield. His numbers at this point are pointing this way, and that's indecisiveness. Trying to decide, do I want to go out here or do I want to go up here? And again, this is why Jamal Charles didn't get the carries and Thomas Jones did. And it's coming to me. I was seeing it as I was watching this tape. I just kept seeing the Chiefs and my frustration that year. You're trying to decide, should I go here or should I go here? And at the end of the day, the NFL means not for long. And when you take that long to decide where you're going to go, what could have been a nice gain ends up being just 3 yards. I think that's what we're dealing with here in a nutshell. And my position is not that anybody should give up. I'm sorry. Okay, now here's the last play I'm going to show you guys because I don't want this video to be too long, okay? But at the end of the day, it's another example of indecisiveness, and there just wasn't a whole lot of decisiveness at the end of the day. And seriously, it was worse than I've seen in other weeks. So maybe the ankle injury was a thing, but you're going to get a run that seems to be designed to go between the guard and the center. But we're going to get an opportunity to possibly bounce this run outside. And again, you have to make your decisions in the NFL in a split second. When you don't, those holes that you saw at one point, they're not going to be there anymore. And what you end up with is a run similar to Jordan Wilkins, where now is the time, Jonathan Taylor, to go ahead and bounce this run. If you're going to bounce it, bounce it. The blocking is pretty damn good. The edge is sealed. I mean, this guy's sealed on the backside. If you're going to bounce this run, bounce this run. Bounce it. Go. Okay? Unfortunately, that's just not what he does. He just can't seem to decide if he wants to go inside or outside, and that's just what ends up ruining this play, unfortunately. It's sad to see because this is a talented guy. I did a whole breakdown showing all the times that he flashed all that amazing talent that he had that made him a second-round picker, an extremely high second-round pick. So do you cut bait? No. If you're an owner of his, do you try to grab Jordan Wilkins? Yes, you probably already have done that. If you don't own Jonathan Taylor, you're still probably out there trying to draft or grab Jordan Wilkins. I'm not saying that I think that Jordan Wilkins is about to take over this job, though, but I think that he has arrived as a guy that you're going to have to truly worry about for the rest of the year. In week 6, 2 carries. Week 8, a lot more than that. I should have written down an official number. I did not. So you have a game against the Ravens coming next, which means that anything could happen, okay? And then after that game, though, you're going to get better games on the schedule, and I think that you just have to hope that week 8 and whatever happens against the Ravens ends up being learning experiences for Jonathan Taylor, and him seeing himself lose carries to Jordan Wilkins will put a fire under him, and that the coaches are going to coach him really good, and you just have to hope that down the stretch he takes back the lion's share of the carries. But I do have to say, after my evaluation, that it does look like Jordan Wilkins is going to continue to get opportunities in this offense. At the end of the day, it's just going to come down to Jonathan Taylor showing just how much talent that he has so that he can make that less of a thing. So, look, this video ended up being extremely long, but I just wanted to be thorough. Didn't want to, just be too quick or anything of that nature. So, look, guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for everybody who's been riding with me. I'm always going to keep on appreciating those people. I feel like I can do better, and I will do better going forward. Going to keep on trying to find some gems here and also break down the current situation. So, keep riding with me, and we're going to make it do what it do, baby. I'm out.